Well, this is what we're going to be painting today. This was young Steve's last painting on the TV series when he was just a young feller. I'm going to start out with just using my clear oil medium with titanium white just to make a nice soft white background. And I'm just going to cover my whole canvas. Just make sure it's a thin, even coat everywhere. I'm using these hake brushes. No, not a hake brush, I'm sorry. This is a Mimic Hog Brush. I have a whole set of these. I really like these brushes for using with water mixable oil paint. And that's what I'm using today is water mixable oils. I love water mixable oils because they smell good, they clean up so easy. They're just wonderful to work with, much nicer than regular oil paints. But anyway, if you don't have water mixable oils, go ahead and use whatever paints that you have and whatever brushes you have, because I'm sure you probably don't have a set of these. Anyway, I'm just starting out with the sky here and adding some water and the colors. You can pretty much see my colors there. I have all the colors listed below if you want to take a look at those. So I've got all my basic color on now, the background color, and all I'm doing is taking my soft brush and I'm just kind of blending it all together. I just want to make it not real smooth. I still want some light and dark spots, but I'm just kind of blending out any brush marks. Now this is a filbert brush, and as you can see I'm mixing white with a little alizarin. This should be one that you could probably follow along with me if you put this in a slower motion. I do that frequently on myself on my computer because it really helps me if I'm trying to figure out, you know, details and stuff like that. But anyway, just doing clouds. The clouds are so much fun. They're so free, they're so easy. And you know, there's no two alike. So whatever you do in a cloud, it's going to be fine. It's not right or wrong. It's just free and easy. Every time you look up at the sky, 2 minutes it'll be one way, 2 minutes later it'll be a different way. So anyway, notice I'm making these nice and soft and kind of puffy like. I didn't want a really hard cloud. I just wanted something very light for this painting, but still a little something in here. And just this little one at the top here, that's going to be just fine. And just sort of lightly just blending that a little bit with my brush. And now I want to go into my soft bunny brush. This is my favorite brush, I think. I just love this brush. But just up in the clouds, you can see how I'm just diffusing the bottom of the cloud. I'm not touching the top of the clouds at all. I'm just going underneath each one. And I'm just blending that out very softly right into the blue. It'll make your clouds so puffy and so beautiful if you get this technique down. And it doesn't take very long to learn it. And just clean that brush off and then just lightly, very lightly, just kind of swoop up and around and back and forth and just kind of blend that all in together, just kind of mesmerizing it. And that's what they call it, mesmerizing. Okay, so now I just want to grab some dark colors. I've got black, crimson, brown, blue, and a little bit of white. And I want to scoop up this paint that I've already used, and I just want to blend that all together. I'm making a little mountain color, and it's a bit on the purplish side. But if you want the cloud on the blue side, that's fine. You can make your cloud any color. So just starting out, we're just going to put a little shape in here. Let's do this one a little bit bigger. So I have a couple of little distant mountains here, and then this bigger one. And notice I'm scraping pretty hard. I'm scraping a lot of the paint off as much as I can. And now with this filbert brush, I'm just going to blend this out on the bottom. Especially these back ones here. I want these blended out pretty well. And then with my soft brush, I'm just going to go in, just blend this a little bit more, just kind of fade it out in the background. And this is a chip brush that I'm using here. I'll tell you, these chip brushes are wonderful. They're so inexpensive. I think they're like $1 or something, $1, maybe $1.50 at the hardware store or any paint store. You can get them just about anywhere, craft store, hardware store. But boy, they take a beating. They really take a lot of abuse. But they are so great for blending on a rough canvas. Now my canvas is not rough, it's a very smooth canvas. But if your canvas did have a lot of tooth on it, those brushes work really wonderful. So let's add just a little bit more down here. A little bit bigger mountain coming forward. It gets a little darker. But blending out on the edges. And blending down here below. And I'm coming about, a little below halfway down the canvas. Now you're probably using a different size canvas than this one. This is a small canvas, and chances are you're probably using a bigger one. So you would use brushes accordingly. For a bigger canvas, you'd use bigger brushes. If you were doing a little 5x7 canvas, you'd use really small brushes. And I do a lot of those. I love those little small canvases. They're really great. So just with a little, just kind of a very pale blue, I just want to hit this back mountain just a little bit. It wouldn't be real bright. It would be kind of faded out. And just a little bit here. And let's blend that out. Nice and soft. Now I want to add just a little bit of alizarin and some white together. This is going to be the highlight side of the mountain. I'm touching the heel of my knife to the top of the mountain and just lightly coming down. And I lighten my pressure as I come down so it makes this snow break. Now let's go into a touch of blue and white, and this is for the shadow side of the mountain. And let's just go ahead and do all this shadow side first. You know, sometimes it's easier to do a shadow side, all the shadow side first. Some people like to work alternately with their mountains. I don't know, I do it all different kinds of ways. I don't do it any particular way at all. Just whatever I feel like doing is what I end up doing. And it's different every day. And let's just lightly bring that out. Just fade that into the background. Okay, now let's do some more highlighting. Again, I'm loading my knife and I'm starting at the top and just lightly, lightly dragging it down. I'm almost not pressing hard enough, I can tell, because it's skipping. But that's okay, just keep going. If it skips, just keep going, because you're going to blend out a little bit anyway. And just keep working down this side of the mountain here. And don't be afraid to go over it more than once. Some people like to make a big, long, smooth stroke. Well, you can do that, but you can also make a lot of little short strokes and it will work out just fine. Now our closest mountain here. I like that pink in there. I think that's very striking. And just put as much snow in here as you want. Okay, I think that's good. And let's just hit this little teeny peak here just one more time. And blend out just by tapping. I'm using my little bunny brush again. You know, I don't know why they call it a bunny brush. I guess because it's very, very soft. Sometimes I say bunny brush and people don't know what I'm talking about. But it's a blender brush, a bunny brush, a hake brush. There's many different names for it. Excuse my voice, I'm sorry. Okay, now to this dark color, let's add some green. A little white. And we're just going to take this, I'm using a big flat brush, but you can use whatever brush that you like. This is just for distant foothills. And just load that brush on one side. And then with a little tapping motion, just tap some of those foothills in. Just adding a little more color here. On the other side, let's come bring this down. Just kind of blending this out on the bottom some. And let's lift up, making kind of like little distant trees and shrubs way back there. Just a little flick of the brush. Now let's deepen that color some, so adding more dark colors to it. As we come forward, it would get darker. This is kind of like layering a little bit. And just light little taps. Then flicking upward again. Really is a nice effect on distance. And let's get some dark colors here, some blue, green, black, brown. Just mix all your dark colors. a little bit more to the green side. Taking that big flat brush again, let's go in and just start on our closer land area. Did I ever tell you this story about how I ever got started in painting? I know some of you know this story because some of you have watched my past videos in full. Most of you only watch a couple of minutes of my videos, but there's some that are dedicated and they really watch a lot. But this was back in 1997, and my son passed away unexpectedly. He was a young man. He was just got out of the military, and he had a heart attack, and it was very fast. He went very fast, but I was left with a hole in my heart, and it was very sad for me. It was just very, very difficult. And so I decided I wanted to take up painting. Now, I've always liked art in some form or another, but I decided to get maybe a little bit more serious about it, thinking I might want to maybe someday be a teacher, but not really. I really just wanted to learn how to paint better. So I started taking these classes. I went to school. I spent several years going to school learning all these different techniques, floral, wildlife, landscape. I never did do any people. I never cared for doing people very much. But anyway, I did all these other classes, and I wasn't anticipating teaching at all. But you know what? It turned out to be so much fun that I just decided maybe I would like to share what I had learned with other people. And so I did start teaching, and gosh, it's been really lucrative for me. I have really enjoyed it. I've had taught so many wonderful people everywhere. I've taught in schools, I've taught in recreational centers, I've taught in senior centers, you name it, I've probably taught there. and it's just really been a blessing for me. God has blessed me so much, I could tell you. Anyway, that brush I was using, I didn't care for it that much for doing evergreen trees. So I'm back to using my fan brush. You know, you just can't beat a good old fan brush for evergreen trees, although there are some other brushes that do work really well. But here I'm doing uppy trees, the upward motion, and I like the upward motion because it just is happier trees, you know, with the branches pointing up towards the sky. It's really cool. So let's do another one here, maybe just a slight bit bigger. And you notice the tree on my right side is always looking nicer than the left side of my trees, and that's because I'm a left-hander. Now, with you, it's going to be just the opposite. If you're a right-hander, your left side of the tree will be a lot prettier. But you can always just fill in wherever it looks a little weird, and just make your trees nice and even, or as much as you want to make them anyway. Let's just have a little one here, just a smaller one. Just kind of balance. And you notice I don't make them stick straight up in the air. I like to make a little slant to them because I just think it looks nice. And now I've got a little bit of ground here, and I've got the trees here, and it's all looking in proportion. It looks good. Some reflections in the water. Just tapping down with my fan brush on those trees in the water. And then just slightly brush down. And let's do that same thing on the land here. Just a little bit of shadow, a little bit of reflection. And now with my soft brush, let's just blend that out a little bit. Kind of makes it that glossy feel. So this river is not turbulent, it's not wild, it's just a nice, calm river. So a little bit yellow, a little bit of yellow and green, a little more yellow. Back to my fan brush. And we'll just do just a little bit of highlight on these trees. I don't want it too bright yet. I want to keep it more on the darker side. And I'm sticking more to the top than the bottom. And let's add some little grasses down here. Just thinking about where your light would shine on the hillside. And again, I'm not making it too bright yet. I'm just kind of suggesting where these hills are. Oh, that's pretty. I like that. Now back here it wouldn't be too bright because it would be more in shadow. Now some brown and white, and let's just make a little variegated color here for our tree trunks. Just get a little roll of paint and just hit a few places on your trees. You don't have to make a solid line, just a few places. And let's do a few background ones too, just plain branches, just plain trunks. Good. And this one last tree over here. Not very fond of this tree. We got to find something to do with this tree. And let's grab a little more of this brown color. And let's just start working on the hillside. We just have a little bit of dirt down here, a little bit of bank showing. This is a very light touch making the bank here. It's just like breaking snow. Very light touch. Working with a knife took me forever to learn how to work with the knife, but I'll tell you, once you get a feel for it, once you understand that very light touch, oh, it's so much fun to work with a knife. So now a little bit of black and a little brown. I just want to darken a few spots here between these rocks. And just a slight bit of lighter color up above here. And with my fan brush, just pulling down a little bit, want to make some more reflections in the water. And softly just blend that out. Now some white on the knife, a thin roll, very thin. Let's just make a little bit of some water lines. And if your paint is too thick, you can add a little bit of thinner to it, or oil medium, and thin that paint out, and then it will flow a lot smoother. And so a few little lines in the water here just to make it look like the water is moving a little bit. And then with my brush, I just want to very lightly go over these water lines. That'll make it look like, oh, kind of glossy like. Perfect. That's good. I love that. Okay, back with the fan brush and some white and yellow. Let's go over these little hilltops again. I just want to brighten them, make them stand out a little bit more. They are so pretty, and when the light strikes them, they just glow. Isn't that nice? I like this painting for just being a simple, easy to do painting that really doesn't take too much. And let's just highlight this tree a little bit more. And this one. Yeah, that's good. Oh, now what am I going to do with this big tree over here? Okay, we'll load the brush, get a little paint on it. Let's go over here and tackle this one. And that's about all I'm going to do to that one right now. So with my knife, let's go into some brown, some dark color. I decided what I'm going to do. We're going to make some birch trees to cover this tree, at least somewhat cover it. I'm sure that it will look better than this. See, anytime you don't like something, that's one option you have. You can just cover it. So just with my knife, I'm just tapping. I'm using a lot of paint. My paint is very, very thick. And let's start adding a little bit of white to that. Again, it's a very light touch, just almost like breaking snow. See, now that will detract a lot from that tree that's behind it. So with my liner brush now, I want to go into my oil medium, make sure that my paint is very, very thin, almost like a water consistency, not quite, ink, like ink. That way it'll flow smoothly, but a very dark color. And just start making some branches. And try to jiggle your hand a little bit so that the branches aren't stick straight. They've got a little bend and twist to them here and there. Keep adding medium to the paint if it starts to stick and you're not getting a good flow. So, you know, some of these need to be a little bit thicker. And see how I'm twisting my brush? Twisting your brush oftentimes makes it, the branches come off a lot easier and more real looking. Let's bring this one down. And a few off to the right here. That's great the way that covered up that tree. I'm very happy with that. And just make as many or as few branches as you want on your painting. Now back to my big heavy brush, my flat brush. This is really a great brush for doing bushes and tree foliage. A little bit of yellow ochre. Let's change the color here a little bit. Just light tapping. And think of bush shapes when you're doing this. Try to leave dark spaces in between. And how about some red? That ought to spice it up a little bit. Oh yeah, that spiced it up plenty. But it's going to be very pretty. You just watch. More red. And I want to tie in a little bit of this red in the grass just to bring more balance to the painting. You always want to try and tie in your colors somewhere. And now I want to lighten this red, a little bit of highlighting here. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. And we need a little bit of yellow down here also. Just to highlight some of these bushes here. See, just light little touches, but leaving the dark spaces. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I think I'm liking this. Now with your very, very thinned out paint again, let's just make a few little birds. I always have to have a little bit of life somewhere in my paintings. And usually it's birds, although sometimes I do something different. Okay, well, this is about the end of the painting. It's a simple one. You should be able to do this with no problem at all. And I would love it if you would share this with your friends, if you have any artist friends. And especially if they're left-handers. You notice I'm a left-hander. So if you have any left-handed artist friends, definitely share it with them. Well, I thank you for watching me today, and be sure and come back next month when I'll have a brand new painting for you. And I hope you try this one. Okay, blessings. Bye-bye.